You know that feeling when you finally decide to upgrade the living room chair for mom or dad, only to end up with a cheap recliner that creaks every time you shift weight, the motor sputters, and the cushion feels like sitting on a folded blanket? I've seen that happen more times than I'd like to admit, and it's why I always pause before hitting add to cart on any budget-priced lift chair. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The question I keep asking myself is whether spending a little more on a well-designed power lift recliner actually saves you from that regret, or if it's just another pricey gimmick. When I started looking at electric lift recliners for seniors, I quickly realized the market is split into two camps: the bargain bin units that promise motorized comfort but often arrive with a thin plastic frame, and the higher-priced models that advertise premium upholstery, multiple massage zones, and built-in cup holders. The KswyyuwxgqI large electric power lift recliner sits squarely in the middle, priced higher than the cheapest options, but still under the five-figure ceiling you see on luxury brands. The real test, though, is how it performs once it's out of the box, assembled in a typical suburban home, and used daily by someone who needs that extra lift to get in and out safely. First off, the installation experience is pretty straightforward if you're comfortable with a few tools. The company includes a detailed instruction sheet, and the whole chair can be assembled in an hour by two people. That's a big plus because many of the cheaper alternatives ship with vague manuals that leave you guessing which bolt goes where. The only hidden trade-off is that you'll need a power outlet within arm's reach, and the cord isn't hidden behind a base, so you'll have to manage that cable in a way that doesn't become a tripping hazard. For most living room setups, that's a minor inconvenience, but it's something to consider if you're tight on space. Now, let's talk about the actual use. The standout feature is the dual-motor lift mechanism, which gently raises the seat from a fully reclined position to a standing posture. I watched a friend's mother, who has limited knee strength, use the chair every morning. She pressed the single button on the remote, and the seat rose smoothly enough that she didn't have to push off the floor with her hands. That hands-free lift is the core reason many families opt for a powered chair rather than a manual lever, and this model delivers on that promise without the jerky motion you sometimes get from lower-priced units. The recline function also feels purposeful. With a single press, the backrest can be adjusted through multiple angles, from an upright sitting position to a near-flat lounge. What makes this useful in real life is the ability to find a comfortable angle for reading, watching TV, or taking a short nap without having to prop pillows. The chair's 8 vibrating points are meant to provide a full-body massage, and while they aren't as intense as a dedicated massage chair, they do add a gentle, soothing pulse that many seniors find comforting after a long day. The heat element, activated by the same remote, can be especially helpful for people with arthritis, offering a warm spread across the lower back and thighs. One practical strength that often gets overlooked is the upholstery. The high-quality velvet fabric feels soft to the touch and, more importantly, doesn't trap heat like some synthetic leathers. For a person who might sit in the chair for an hour or more, that breathability can make a noticeable difference in comfort. The chair also includes cup holders and side pockets, tiny details that become huge conveniences when you're settling in with a book, a remote, or a glass of water. Those pockets have enough room for a tablet or a pair of reading glasses, which means you don't have to constantly reach for a side table. On the flip side, the chair's size is something you have to plan for. It's a large recliner, as the name suggests, and it takes up a fair amount of floor space. If you're living in a modest apartment, you'll need to measure carefully to ensure there's room not just for the chair itself, but also for the footrest to extend fully without hitting a wall. The weight capacity, while sufficient for most seniors, caps at around 300 pounds. That's fine for average users, but could be a limiting factor for heavier individuals. Another point worth noting is the remote control. It's simple and works well, but the button layout is minimalistic: no backlighting, no separate buttons for massage versus heat. You have to cycle through the modes, which can be a tiny learning curve for someone who isn't tech-savvy. Who should consider buying this chair? If you're looking for a reliable power lift mechanism that actually eases the transition from sitting to standing, and you want the added benefits of a basic massage and heat function, the KswyyuwxgqI is a solid middle ground choice. It's especially a good fit for families.